So let's jump right into it. No, this isn't a video about eating gas. And no, this isn't about a car that's powered off tater tots. It's about waste. No, not that kind. The kind that happens when you make something and as a result end up making something else. These two products were actually born from waste, along with many others which I'll explain. With Tots, they were actually made from the scraps of making French fries. And with gas, well, before the light bulb was invented, people used to power their homes with kerosene. Gas was a byproduct that they just ended up throwing away. There was no use for it. See, this matters because, one, if you make things, there might be a revenue stream right in front of you that you're not paying attention to. And two, well, the world has got plenty polluted since we started buying and making a lot of things. So it's kind of up to us to fix it.
So these guys, the founder of Orida, aka the Tot Gods, aka the Brothers Grigg. In 1951, after the war, we were living in the jet propulsion era. The post-war economy was booming, and people were ready to live that future life. Determined that the future of produce lay in frozen food, when a bankrupt flash freezing plant in Eastern Oregon was auctioned off for $500,000, the brothers pounced on the opportunity, mortgaging their homes to raise the down payment. Initially, they started shipping frozen corn out west. But convinced that something much more profitable could be done with it, the brothers stumbled onto the ingenious idea of chopping up potato slivers, adding flour and seasoning, then pushing the mash through holes and slicing off pieces of what came out on the other side. Tater tots were born, and America would never be the same again.
Paulie, give me some of your tots.
No, go find your own.
Come on, give me some of your tots.
No, I'm freaking starved. I didn't get to eat anything today. Oh, God. Gross. Freaking idiot.
The lesson to learn here is that it is as important to look at our waste stream from our process as it is to examine how we source raw materials. Are we recycling our byproducts? Is there someone who is looking for our trash as an input to their process? Do we have the opportunity to have a profitable side business as a coincidental supplier to someone else? At the very least, can we do better than throwing our byproducts away? Now back to gas. You know that Rockefeller guy? A historical titan in history from the era of monopolies?
You must be the Monopoly guy. Hey, thanks for the free parking.
This man crushed it when it came to refining oil and powering America. Back in those days though, like I mentioned earlier, before the light bulb was invented, people used to light their homes with kerosene, what would soon become a dated technology.
We're in the early days of a new industry.
Electricity is starting to power the country.
Long live the electric light.
Would push this titan to birth something even more profitable.
To keep Standard Oil profitable, Rockefeller needs to find a product to replace kerosene. And the answer may have been in front of him the entire time.
At just over 100 degrees, you get a mixture of alkanes. Sadly, can't be used for anything. Why not? Too volatile.
Rockefeller targets a byproduct of refining oil that for years has been thrown away. The highly flammable runoff is soaking fields and polluting rivers. The toxic substance is called gasoline. And so far, no one has figured out a use for it. Rockefeller hires a team of scientists to try to find a use for the toxic substance. First, they create small products, like synthetic beeswax and petroleum jelly. But Rockefeller becomes convinced gasoline has a bigger potential. quest to create a more powerful motor leads to the development of the internal combustion engine. The exact properties that make gasoline so dangerous also make it the perfect fuel to power this engine.
You're always looking for the next innovation, the next niche, the next product improvement, the next service improvement. You're always trying to get better.
The timing is perfect for Rockefeller. Already in possession of the world's largest supply of gasoline, he starts using gasoline-powered engines to run machines in his refineries. The efficiency and power of the engine quickly make it the standard in factories across the country. But when the engine is put on wheels, creating what's being called the horseless carriage, Rockefeller realizes that gasoline could be even bigger than kerosene.
I have set out to build the best motor car for popular use. The Ford motor car is durable and light, weighing only 1,000 pounds. It has a 4-cylinder engine and is capable of speeds up to 45 miles an hour. It is priced at $900 compared to $1,500 for the average licensed car, which makes it the first car affordable for the common man.
Standard Oil gasoline stations appear across the country, fueling Henry Ford's cars.
Henry Ford created what became the most important industry in the American economy. He had no idea of the enormous impact it would have on almost every sector of American life. He literally changed America, the way we live, the way we do things, and the way we go about our business.
And through the creations of Ford's cars, a new product would soon be introduced to America that was once again born from trash, or a byproduct of manufacturing. That product is Kingsford charcoal.
Did you know that a man who ignited interest in early automobiles also popularized an incendiary little brick that helps fire up your grill? To find out how building cars led to a building block of the backyard barbecue, I met with Matt Anderson of the Henry Ford.
The box for the grill and the bag of briquettes says Ford on it. Did Henry Ford invent the briquette?
He did not, but he did have an interesting role in the history of charcoal. Ford was building Model Ts by the hundreds of thousands every year, and he was starting to think about vertical integration, not just owning the factories that built the cars, but all of the raw materials that went into them.
Among those raw materials, wood, a staple in the early Model Ts. So Henry Ford sent someone to look for forest land to purchase in Michigan's Upper Peninsula.
Looking for forest land up there, he hired a fellow by the name of Edward Kingsford.
Now that name I know.
It rings a bell. He was a Ford dealer, he had some experience with real estate, and not incidentally, he was married to Henry Ford's first cousin. So he goes around and finds over 300,000 acres that Henry Ford purchases, and then Ford builds a sawmill right there on the site to build the bodies and then send them down to the plant in Dearborn.
Once the sawmill was underway, a new opportunity presented itself.
Henry Ford's lumber mill was producing hundreds of thousands of board feet of lumber each day, so there was a lot of wood waste coming out of that. And Ford thought, rather than throw away all this waste, what if we could turn it into a commercial product? And that's where the charcoal briquette idea came from.
Made of wood chips, starch, sawdust, and a little carbon, the charcoal briquettes were sold out of the already existing infrastructure of Ford auto dealerships.
I don't hear about Ford charcoal anymore.
No, and as long as Henry was alive and Ford Motor Company was producing it, it was sold under the Ford brand name, just like the cars. After Henry Ford dies in 1947, the company slowly begins to move away from this vertical integration idea. They sell off their businesses in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, including the charcoal business, which then another company buys, and they rename the product Kingsford, after the town where Ford had founded up there, which was named for Edward Kingsford.
Again, we have another case study snatched right out of the history books that teaches us that new product ideas can be hidden right in plain sight. But if you think technology has made product issues like that a thing of the past, you would be completely wrong. Take Greek yogurt, for instance, a highly popular product today.
The popularity of Greek yogurt is booming, thanks to its healthy and protein-rich composition. However, for every 100 pounds of milk used in Greek yogurt, only 1/3 ends up in the final product. The other 2/3 of the milk is acid whey, a byproduct that most producers regard as waste. The result is needless overhead, tight margins, and an environmentally unfriendly product. But there's an alternative approach. It eliminates the growing volumes of excess acid whey by transforming it into added value dairy products that can be sold to the quality and ecologically minded consumer. How?
In collaboration with the dairy industry, Curtin's Dr. Tunadinsa and Dr. Corinne Valet have developed a one-step process that will enable these producers to capture whey proteins by using readily available biopolymers under optimal process conditions, right in their own vats. Proteins precipitate out of the whey without the need for complex and expensive extraction and filtration equipment. The remaining liquid has the ideal nutritional characteristics for use in infant formula. Extensive research has gone into fine-tuning the process to the point where products can be tailor-made for specific nutritional or physical properties, for example for producing processed cheese, baked goods or noodles, or creating protein that floats, making it ideal feed for farmed fish, or to be used as feed in piggeries. In Australia, every year, nearly 280 million litres of whey is discarded. In Europe, it's 36 billion litres. This innovation is ready to shift from the laboratory to the commercial scale, ready to turn a business cost into an income stream.
But if you think being smart with your byproduct means you have to stay in your industry, you most certainly do not. Trip out in the ingenuity behind one Tasmania-based cheesemaker playing in a completely different product category. His product may surprise you.
Our mother has brought us up to always think creatively, to respect the environment. A lot of our innovation has come from what can we create with our waste. I'm Ryan Hartshorn. I'm the creator of Hartshorn Distillery. I'm also part owner in Grandview Cheeses with my family. The first idea was to plant a vineyard and then have the sheep eat the grass in between the vines. However, the sheep decided to destroy the vines, so we had to make the choice, and sheep's milk was a lot more interesting than wines. I wanted to create something of my own, so I grasped the concept of making vodkas, and I wanted to bring it to Grandview, and I wanted it to be relevant to what we were doing. No one has done a sheep whey vodka in the world before. I've been quite chuffed with a lot of the responses, a lot of influential vodka drinkers that have said lovely things, which is nice. Grandview Cheeses is one of the few places in Australia where people can come and see the entire process of sheep's milk products.
Clearly, no pun intended, Ryan is doing some amazing things in the category of spirits. But what about those who don't drink vodka? Well, this story deals with beer. Or as the founders put it, beer you could eat.
When I was 19 years old, I learned how to make my own beer. But every time we made beer, we'd be left with all of this very fragrant grain that seemed like it was food that could feed people, and we had nothing to do with it but to throw it out. My name is Daniel Kurzrock. I am the co-founder and CEO of Regrained. We are based out of San Francisco, but with a global mission to close the loop on all food waste that can be turned back into food ingredients. The beer making process requires a lot of grain. We got to wondering what an urban brewery would do with the byproduct. The historical paradigm for this was to work with farmers who would come pick it up and use it as feed for their animals. But in a city, it doesn't make as much sense. I realized, okay, there's this changing industry with craft beer booming, and maybe there's an opportunity not just to start our own brewery and close our own loop, but to see if we can work with some of these breweries that are opening up and provide a new service as a part of the kind of urban ecosystem. So what we want to do is change the way the world and our food system looks at waste and create a platform for doing more with less.
So all these examples go to show that you don't have to accept the current standards of manufacturing. With an inquisitive mind and a little know-how, some new could be born of what's right in front of you. So based off what you saw today, is there something that you've been working on where you maybe identified a potential new revenue stream? If so, I'd like to know. I think I got it. That's a wrap. This is the outro. I am out of here, mister. Do all the kind internet things you're supposed to do. Please like, subscribe, and share. And as always, call your mom, tell her you love her. I'm out. Till then, this was Stargist. It's been real. This is a high quality entertainment show, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't handle this, go to a different channel.